I address you today with a sense of foreboding that words can hardly capture. I no longer know what more can be said. 14 months ago, I warned that this genocide marked an escalatory stage of a long-standing settler colonial project of erasure, one that has targeted the Palestinian people for over 7 decades. And now, it is happening, and we must stop it. The situation in the occupied Palestinian territory is apocalyptic. In Gaza, people continue to endure suffering beyond imagination. Israel is responsible for one of the cruelest genocides in modern history. Official figures count over 200,000 killed or injured. Leading health experts estimate that true toll is far higher. As the cost to the Palestinian people grows, Israel has dismantled the last function of the UN in Gaza, humanitarian aid. Its so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is nothing else than a death trap, engineered to kill or force the flight of a starved, bombarded, emaciated population marked for elimination. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, Palestinians continue to face the largest wave of forced displacement since 1967. Nearly 1,000 have been killed, 10,000 injured, 10,000 detained, many tortured, while armed settlers rampage and 900 checkpoints and other obstacles choke daily life. As Palestinians are abandoned to their fate, I must ask you, those of you with a diplomatic presence in the occupied Palestinian territory, what do your colleagues report? What is your presence for, if not to confirm what I'm saying and act to stop it, in accordance with international law? At the same time, since October 2023, the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange has soared by 213% in US dollars, amassing 225.7 billion US dollars in market gains, including 67.8 billion in the last month alone. One people enriched, one people erased. Israel has used the genocide as an opportunity to test new weapons, customized surveillance, lethal drones, radar systems, and other unmanned technology to exterminate a population without restraint. While Elbit Systems wins Israeli Ministry of Defense Award for Innovation, Lockheed Martin and a global web of 1,650 other companies benefit from Israel flying the F-35 fighter jets for the first time in beast mode, carrying 4 times the ordnance up to 22,000 pounds than when operating in stealth mode. It is its very defenselessness that has made the people and the land of Palestine an ideal laboratory for the Israeli military-industrial complex. The forever occupation has provided an optimal testing ground for arms manufacturers and big tech with little oversight and zero accountability, while investors, private and public institutions have profited handsomely. I once thought the problem was ignorance, a lack of understanding about Palestine and its history. Later, I saw the ideology at play, the deep political affinity many states and elites hold with the State of Israel. But in the face of genocide, so visible, so ostentatious, so live-streamed, these explanations fall short. My term as a Special Rapporteur, including the fierce opposition to my mandate, and this report in particular, reveals a darker truth. Some states support Israel to preserve their regional dominance, creating the material conditions that sustain its settler colonial project and make it succeed, in fact. And it's in this bigger scheme, a web of corporate actors are deeply enmeshed in the underlying economy, helping displaced indigenous Palestinians and replace them with Israeli settlers in what remains of their land. This report exposes the economic conditions driving and enabling Israel's machinery of displacement through destruction, segregation and surveillance of the Palestinians, and replacement through the construction of alternative landscapes, economies and realities for the settlers, their visitors and associates. From arms manufacturers, tech giants, banks, energy firms, online platforms, supermarkets and universities, corporate actors have supplied the tools, financing and infrastructure, the legitimacy for this machinery of erasure. Weapons and data systems brutalized and surveilled Palestinians. Colonies spread, financed by banks and insurers, powered by fossil fuels and normalized by tourism platforms, supermarket chains and academic institutions. All have helped entrench apartheid and enabled the slow, inexorable destruction of Palestinian life. Corporate entities entangled in this ecosystem have long been on notice. Their products, services and corporate relationships directly link them to an economy of occupation that has functioned in violation of peremptory norms, the Fourth Geneva Convention and the Rome Statute. Under the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, even this minimal connection triggers a clear responsibility to use their leverage to end abuse. But in this context of Palestine, we are not talking about isolated, specific incidents of wrongful conduct. The severity of the structural and sustained violations and crimes at issue has been confirmed by the International Court of Justice and has led to arrest warrants being issued by the International Criminal Court. In this context, what action could possibly be sufficient to rectify these violations and the corporate connections to them? The answer is simple. There is a prima facie responsibility on every state and corporate entity to completely abstain from or end their relationship with this economy of the occupation, especially as it has transformed into an economy of genocide. In the face of all this, too few have disengaged in the last 21 months. Armed companies have turned near-record profits by equipping Israel with cutting-edge weaponry to unleash 85,000 tons of explosives, 6 times the power of Hiroshima, on Gaza. Tech companies provide dual-use infrastructure that is utilized as a weapon of mass targeting and killing. The machinery of the global construction equipment giants is razing Gaza to the ground, preventing the return and reconstruction of Palestinian life. Global energy conglomerates have fueled these assaults with coal, oil, gas, while the same infrastructure has been deprived to the Palestinians. No water, no electricity, creating the conditions of life calculated to destroy. While major global banks have underwritten and purchased Israeli treasury bonds, bankrolling the devastation at a time of gaping military budget deficits and plummeting credit rating. The 40 entities named in my report, alongside their parent subsidiary licensees and franchisees, are just the tip of the iceberg, illustrative of this system that entangles many, many more. What I exposed is not a list, it is a system, and it is to be addressed. Now, my expectation is that the OHCHR database, the Working Group on Business and Human Rights, and lawyers, investigative journalists, and prosecutors globally will take this framework and secure that what states have failed to achieve, accountability. And we must reverse the tide. As I conclude, let me say, member states must impose a full arms embargo on Israel, suspend all trade agreements and investment relations, and enforce accountability, ensuring that corporate entities face legal consequences for their involvement in serious violations of international law. And corporate entities must urgently cease all business activities and terminate relationships directly linked, contributing to, and causing human rights violations and international crimes against the Palestinian people. At this existential moment for the Palestinian people, trade unions, lawyers, civil society groups, and ordinary citizens should encourage such behavioral change from the side of corporate entities and governments by pressing for boycotts, divestment, sanctions, and accountability. What comes next depends on all of us, and I truly believe that together we can make it. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. Thank you.